Hello and welcome to Backstage at the Barbican. My name is Rachel Leach and I'll be with you for the next 20 minutes or so in the run-up to tonight's live-streamed concert. So tonight we've got the London Symphony Orchestra under the baton of Sir John Eliot Gardiner performing works by Schumann and Berlioz. We caught up with academic and pianist David Owen Norris a few days ago and he gives us an insight into the world of Schumann.
The captivatingly wistful opening of Robert Schumann's great song cycle, Dichterliebe, Poets, Life and Love. Schumann in a nutshell, as he found his true voice the year he married his sweetheart Clara Wieck in 1840. It was a new voice, a quizzical, questioning voice. Who but Schumann would have thought of writing a piece called simply Why? It was a voice that hesitated between words and music. Schumann's father was a publisher, and young Robert wrote stories, poems and plays. All his life he remained a literary man, an editor and a critic. So reading a romantic novel might result in a piano suite, while a poem needn't confine itself to becoming a song. It could inspire a symphony. The motto theme that begins the first symphony perfectly fits the poetic line that inspired it. Im Tale blüht der Frühling auf. Spring is blossoming in the valleys. Schumann's literary imagination peopled his music with characters, many of them simply Schumann himself in disguise. He could be Eusebius, that's Eusebius beginning with an E, or he could be Florestan. Or he could be David, forever fighting the Philistines. And if you notice that Clara, his wife, David, Eusebius with an E and Florestan form an alphabetical sequence, you're starting to get some idea of how Schumann's mind worked. Schumann met his piano teacher's daughter when she was only 10 years old, and her father spent the next 11 years fighting tooth and nail to keep them apart. The marriage set Schumann free to follow his star. Clara was one of the greatest piano virtuosos of the time, and she encouraged Robert to investigate the more serious orchestral genres, pieces like the Piano Concerto. Schumann's opera Genoveva reminds us that he was a contemporary of Wagner. Indeed, the two became friends. This theme from the Overture certainly breathes the same air as Wagner's early operas. But it wasn't easy being married to a famous concert pianist. Schumann hated playing second fiddle to Clara on her concert tours, and he began to suffer breakdowns. The alphabetical facets of his personality were splitting apart. His family had a history of mental instability, and all his life he feared insanity. Clara and Robert moved to new cities in search of a new start, to Dresden and to Düsseldorf. rather reluctantly, because Schumann knew that that city had an asylum and he thought it would be a bad omen. He began to hear angels singing him beautiful music, which he wrote down, and then the angels turned into demons and he threw himself off a bridge into the Rhine. 2 years later, in 1856, he died in a private asylum. He was 46 years old. Clara had not been allowed to visit him. For the rest of her long life, she could only dream.
So sadly, Schumann's life was beset by mental health issues, and luckily for us today, there are people to help musicians in all parts of their career at all times. And I'm joined by somebody who can talk to us about that now, Christine Brown from Help Musicians UK, formerly known as the Musicians Benevolent Fund. So Christine, musicians need your help. Can you tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, of course. Help Musicians UK is the leading independent charity for musicians and for those working in the industry, and we've been helping musicians for about 97 years now. We give financial support, advice. We also bring opportunities to emerging musicians, and we also look after those who are in retirement. The mental health offer is an extended service for us, very much based on research and the needs of musicians. They told us that that's what they needed help with, and so we had to respond.
So you did an extensive survey, was it a couple of years ago, into this whole area of whether music makes people sick?
That's correct. In 2016, we commissioned Can Music Make You Sick? And that was with Westminster University and also Music Tank. It's actually the largest survey and academic study of its kind into musicians and mental health. And through that, really, we wanted to learn more about why there was a connection between music and depression, but more so what we could do as that leading independent charity to really provide pathways and options for people who may be struggling.
And you've come up with Music Minds Matters. I believe you were the brainchild behind this.
That's correct.
Can you tell us what's that about? What's that mean?
Music Minds Matter actually started as a campaign really to raise awareness, to educate people in music and beyond about the reasons why there is a connection between music and depression. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence, obviously Schumann, there's evidence about his struggles with depression. The Second Symphony, which the audience will hear tonight, was almost a coping mechanism for him in a period of depression. So Music Minds Matter, we wanted to try to lift the stigma, but then take it one step further, which is to provide a really comprehensive service for anyone working in music who may find that they're struggling or they have challenges. Music Minds Matter is a 24/7 helpline. But also it provides more than that. It provides listening, emotional support, clinical pathways, but also some therapeutic pathways also, such as counselling and also cognitive behavioural therapy.
So our audience probably features some people who are musicians, amateur and professional. What can they do if they need this kind of help?
Well, they can call the helpline at any time. It's completely free. The number is 0808 802 8008. But also they can email, and that's not 24/7, but with a 48-hour turnaround, and that's mmm@helpmusicians.org.uk. And really, it's there for them if anyone needs to talk, but more importantly, it's about providing some pathways for those people who may not have been able to access mental health help.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. We put up all of that details on the screen. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing as well.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. So between two pieces of Schumann today we have Berlioz, a song cycle called Nuits, and John Eliot Gardiner talked to us about his choice of singer.
I think it's a lovely contrast to have some Berlioz in a Schumann program. I mean, they're pretty much exact contemporaries, and the Nuits d'été was written around the same time as the Fourth Symphony, and I've chosen Ann Hallenberg, a wonderful Swedish mezzo, to sing Les Nuits d'été. I've performed it with her already with the Orchestre Révolution Romantique. She's almost the natural successor to Anne-Sophie von Otter, one of my very favorite singers with whom I've recorded an awful lot. The Swedes produce these wonderful mezzos and sopranos too, and Anne has perfect French diction, and she is a very special singer. She comes from with a lot of experience of Baroque music. She sang a good deal of Handel and Bach and so on. But she's got a romantic side to her, and I think the texts and the beautiful instrumentation of Berlioz' Nuits d'été will suit her beautifully.
So I'm joined by the soprano that Sir John Eliot was talking about so wonderfully just now. This is Ann Hallenberg. Now, I believe you're about to make your London debut with the LSO tonight.
I am, actually.
And how does that feel?
Wonderful. I mean, it's honourable, it's a pleasure, it's fun.
So Sir John Eliot talked very wonderfully about you. Has he been good to work with?
It's fantastic. He's a very demanding conductor. Mm-hmm. He wants you to do more than you think you could do, and then suddenly you find yourself doing it. So yes, he's wonderful to work with.
You were on tour with the orchestra this week. You performed in Germany.
I actually only did one concert because there's two programmed parallel, so I only did one concert in Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona.
Yes.
Wow. And was it this piece that you're doing tonight?
Yes.
Right. So Berlioz, talk about him for a bit. Does he write well for the voice?
I have only done this piece by Berlioz. No, that's not true. I did La Passion du Faust, and so I haven't done a lot, but it's very, very nicely written. It's beautiful long lines and very sweet for the voice all the time.
So there are 6 songs in the collection,
yes,
and they seem to go with every emotion, from first love to dying love. Do you feel that emotion as you're singing them?
You will always have to try to find some feeling within you for it, even if this doesn't have a real story. It's not like Frauenliebe und Leben or Dichte Liebe. This is a different thing. So, but still, of course, all of us, we have some point in our lives where we can connect a feeling, even if it's not exactly the same situation.
So the first bit of the concert is an overture, and you're on for the second piece. What do you do during the overture? Are you warming up, or are you just sitting calmly?
I think I will try to keep my nerves.
Yeah. Of course, this is going out to YouTube and Medici.
Stop.
Okay.
Don't want to hear that.
Okay, I wondered if. Okay, fine. So you're just focusing on the people in the hall, as usual, and and just getting the words across to them.
Yes.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, I will let you go and get ready. I always ask singers this, though. What are you wearing?
Green.
Green.
Very green.
Very green. Well, I will look out for that. Thank you so much for talking to us.
I'm very obvious.
Okay. Very, very green. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. So, tonight's concert, as we know, features Schumann and Berlioz. Before I tell you a bit about that, I have a favour to ask. The LSO are committed to bringing these performances to you live and free wherever you are around the world, music making at the highest level. But of course, these concerts do cost money. So please consider giving us a donation. There'll be a link on the screen at various points tonight, and anything that you can give, big or small, I promise 100% of it will go towards events like this, and we are hugely thank you for anything that you could offer. We really want to continue to bring these concerts to you live and free wherever you may be. So tonight's concert starts at 7 o'clock over on YouTube and Medici TV, and I'll be here at the interval with more chat. The first piece tonight is Schumann's Genoveva Overture. So Schumann wrote this at a time when he was really desperate to become known as being a true German opera composer. In about 1842, he started to express the desire to be the person who created a new art form, German heroic opera. And he looked to Wagner, and he sort of stole several ideas from him. The two composers very much in the same way of thinking at this point. He chose a heroic story. The story is based on a legend of Louis II of Bavaria hundreds and hundreds of years ago in medieval times. Very similar story to Lohengrin, which was being written by Wagner at the same time. And he wanted to create this, as I say, heroic German piece. The overture is filled with the excitement of the opera to come. It's an adventurous, exciting, dramatic ride, and you can hear that within it, the main character at the beginning goes off to war. You can hear that because you can hear the horns with their hunting calls that are littered throughout this piece. Now, sadly for Schumann, the critics did not like the opera that followed. They said that he just hadn't got it right in many different ways, and this sent Schumann into a profound depression. And sadly for him, he quit the world of opera, and we never got another full-scale opera from him. So Genoveva is the first piece tonight, followed by Berlioz' Nuits d'été. And this is a song cycle of 6 songs that Berlioz wrote in 1841 at a crucial period for him as well. His first marriage to Harriet Smithson had come to an end. Harriet herself had her own emotional difficulties. And Berlioz had sort of started to become interested in the lady that would become his second wife. So the 6 songs, they span every aspect and every angle of love. The first one is about hopeful, new love, sort of innocence, and then we hear the loss of innocence, death, lamentation, and the last one is all about hope for the next love. And my favourite is number 2, which is called Spectre of the Rose, and features a chilling line. Obviously it'll be in French tonight, but the line is, "I am the ghost of the rose you wore at the ball when we met." I think that's such an amazingly vivid line of text. That's in the second song, and that will be sung by who we just talked to, Ann Hallenberg, the second piece in the programme. I will be back at the interval with more chat and more from Sir John Eliot Gardiner, but if you flip on over to YouTube or Medici TV at 7 o'clock, you can see all of this coming to you live. I will see you at the interval.